Hey guys, Dominic from Genuine Assholes, and it's Halloween 2016, if I made this video on time, and today I'm doing my final countdown from worst to best of the three major horror franchises that are Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Halloween. And finally, we're up to my favorite series, the Halloween series. I just love Michael Myers, the white William Shatner mask. What's not to love? Now, for those who didn't watch my other videos, there are some ground rules in these lists. I will not be counting remakes, especially the Rob Zombie remakes, which I definitely don't have a lot of love for. And Freddy vs. Jason, which it's not relevant in this list, will not be included. It's just kind of an honorable mention. So, there are 8 films in the original Halloween franchise. Let's jump into my worst to best of the Halloween films. At dead last, at number 8, is Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Halloween 4 might have been a return to form somewhat, but this movie is just a sloppy mess. This one is the hardest one for me to watch, and I think it's the one I've probably seen the least. It's not very fun, the story's all over the place, and the mask is shit. So I could do a list on just the rankings of, worst to best of just the masks. This is definitely also the worst mask. This movie was supposedly rushed after the success of Halloween 4, and the story introduced a lot of elements that were they tried explaining Myers a little bit. It ended on a cliffhanger that was never really fully realized because they went a different path in the next one. Michael Myers' niece has become a mute in this one, and it's just too much. Definitely skip over. And who could forget the stupid, floating away in the water with the Halloween music playing? Like, what is that? Next up on my list is Halloween 8, also known as Halloween Resurrection. Now, this movie, I used to like it a lot when I was younger. Because of my age, it was the second Halloween movie I was able to see in theaters. But now that I've rewatched it plenty of times and really taken it for what it is, it's not a very good movie. The good things, you get Jamie Lee Curtis popping up, playing Laurie Strode one last time, giving that character a bit of a farewell. And that opening is good. I give that a 5-star rating. 5-10 minutes, whatever the hell it is, that prologue to Resurrection is the best thing about this movie. And then the movie kind of takes a nosedive. It is cool because it introduces a new way of showing Myers. This was pre-YouTube, pre-online video boom. So they did something that was kind of ahead of its time and interesting, where they made, the people in the Myers house wear webcams on their head, and then Michael Myers is, you see him killing these people, and it's getting broadcast over the internet. Cool concept, but not very well executed, because you got like Buster Rhymes in there fighting Michael Myers and actually surviving. Spoiler alert, I guess. That shit doesn't work. This is also directed by Rick Rosenthal, who directed Halloween 2. We'll get into that film in a little bit. But Halloween Resurrection, the 7th sequel, it is what it is. The mask is actually not bad in this movie. Definitely doesn't look like the original Myers. He's kind of like a suave Michael Myers. It looks like it's weird. He's got stylized hair. I don't know what was going on. Moving right along, my number 6 is Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. Now, this movie isn't particularly a good movie, but I do enjoy it. It's fun. It's cheesy. It's got Paul Rudd in what I think is one of his first movies. And he's playing Tommy Doyle, the child character from the first Halloween. Donald Pleasence reprising his Sam Loomis one final time before he did pass away. Rest in peace, Donald Pleasence. And this movie, hey, it's a guilty pleasure of mine. If anything, it may not feel like a Halloween movie that much, and it kind of goes off the course by introducing a lot of this weird cult stuff, but it does capture the season of Halloween, I feel well. The acting's pretty decent. There's some pretty cool kills, and there's also an alternate cut, the producer's cut, which was, some fabled cut that was on bootleg for a long time, that in the last couple of years has actually gotten a Blu-ray release through the box set. And after watching it after all these years, does it make it a better movie? Is it a better version of this movie? Not really. They're both basically the same quality movie, just executed differently. One of the funner sequels, and I think one of the better sequels. Next up, my number 5 is Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. How do I summarize this movie with a quick explanation? Well, after the success of Halloween 2, the studios wanted Carpenter to keep making Halloween movies. Now, he didn't want to continue the Michael Myers story because he felt that the character was dead. So instead, he introduced the idea of an anthology series, and that this movie will be directed by Lee Wallace, one of the assistant producers or directors on the original Halloween. And then every year after that, there will be a new Halloween anthology film, kind of like Twilight Zone-esque or whatever you want to say. And then this movie happened, and it died a painful death at the theaters. The movie made hardly any money. It didn't feature Myers, so a lot of audience members felt betrayed. But over the years, this has kind of got a following, and people have accepted it more. I used to hate the movie, and now I kind of like it. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. I think it's a decent little horror film. It's cheesy, but you can't look at it like it's an entry of Halloween and say, oh, where's Myers? You got to kind of watch it for its own thing. It's got a cool Carpenter score, it's got some cool, freaky makeup effects, and it's got Tom fucking Atkins, who's just an awesome horror actor. If you want to listen to me rant and rave about Halloween 3 even more, check out my podcast. I'll put a link below. But let's get back to the list. 4 on this list is Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Now this was a return to form from the franchise because due to the lack of Myers in Halloween 3, as I just mentioned, Halloween 4, even though it's basically a carbon copy of Halloween 1 and 2 slapped together, it's a fun movie. It's 80s, it's 88, the year I was born, and I enjoy it. I mean, I think most fans enjoy this one. The only problem I really have with it is the mask. Yet again, the mask looks like shit. He looks kind of chubby in this movie too, Michael Myers, which he also does in Halloween 6, to bring it up. Oh wait, it's the same actor that played him in both. Guy didn't lose his beer belly. But anyway, it's a fun movie. It captures the spirit of Halloween and introduces some new members of the Myers family. It is a stepping stone because not only did it bring back Myers, but it kept the series alive for another 4 movies after this. So you gotta appreciate this film. Next up on my list is Halloween H2O, the 7th installment in the Halloween series. Now this is one of my personal favorites. Is it a great movie? No, but I think it's a very good one. You got Jamie Lee Curtis for the first time returning to the character of Laurie Strode since Halloween 2. And this movie, I remember seeing it in theaters. It was the first Halloween movie I saw in theaters, and I just really enjoyed it. They skip over all the other stuff that was started in Halloween 3 on, and this is basically a straight-up sequel to Halloween 2, which is cool. You got Josh Hartnett in there playing Jamie Lee Curtis' son, who he's pretty good. And this movie came out in the wake of movies like Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer, and it's actually co-written or written by the same writer of Scream, Kevin Williamson. It definitely has that feel of that kind of modern teen horror movie, but it does have a nice amount of scares. The worst thing about this movie is the mask. The mask was altered a few times during filming, so in a couple of scenes you see a different mask. In one scene in particular, you even see a computerized mask, which is just, and that's one thing that bothers me when I watch this movie. I always wish they would have used the original mask. The number 2 Halloween movie is Halloween 2. That's right, Halloween 2. The nightmare isn't over. This movie goes hand in hand with the original Halloween. There are some people who don't like this movie, which I never really understood. But if you're a big fan of Halloween, this is just a continuation. This is more of the same. The only real changes from the original is it's a little more bloody because it had an influence of movies like Friday the 13th and all the slashers that followed that. So they tried to keep up with that, but it doesn't hurt the movie. There's a decent amount of characters. You got Jamie Lee Curtis back again, Donald Pleasence playing the shit out of that role. And this is set in a hospital, which is creepy. It's just a fun movie, and I just always watch Halloween 1 and 2 at least back to back around Halloween. There are some rumors, as I mentioned earlier, Rick Rosenthal directed this, but there are some rumors that John Carpenter wasn't happy about the way the movie was turning out, and supposedly he filmed some stuff and he kind of made it scarier, but who knows what really went down. The number 1 Halloween movie is Halloween, the 1978 classic. Let's not forget this was an independent film made for next to nothing, and it was a major movie for John Carpenter, and this basically made him the maestro of horror we know him as today. It was filmed on a shoestring budget. They used a William Shatner mask that they repainted and cut the eyes bigger, but this movie is still scary. It's one of those movies you watch and I'm so impressed by the way this all came together. The soundtrack, the cinematography by Dean Cundey. It doesn't rely on any effects. It doesn't rely on blood and gore or jump scares. All it relies on is just creepy suspense and creepy damn music. This is not only one of the best horror movies ever made, but one of the best movies ever made. If you've never seen any of these other films, watch Halloween, the original 1978 one at least. Every movie fan should know this movie. Well, that concludes my list of the Halloween worst to best. Check out my Nightmare one, check out my Friday the 13th one if you haven't. Check out my sketches, check out my other videos. I have a new Halloween sketch. Yeah, Michael Myers, Dr. Loomis, check it out. It's there. Check out my podcast. I'll put a link below, guys. Have a happy Halloween, subscribe, and thanks for watching.